I was taking care of my aunt's house while she was out of town a few years ago. It was an old country house, a little creaky and quiet, but nothing seemed strange until about 2:30 a.m. one night. I heard footsteps when I woke up. They were heavy, purposeful footsteps in the hallway outside my door, not just slight creaks. Right outside my door, the steps stopped, and I thought it was just the house settling. I was frozen. A sliver of moonlight came through the window, enough to dimly illuminate beneath the door, but the hallway light was off. It was then that I saw two still shadows of feet. Thinking that perhaps a neighbor had entered, I called out. No response, just silence. Then, slowly, the feet turned away and walked back down the hallway. I finally mustered the courage to open the door, but the hallway was empty. I checked the locks. They were still bolted from the inside. No signs of entry, no one ever broke in. Nothing was stolen. My aunt later told me that her late husband, who passed away in that house, always paced that hallway when he couldn't sleep. To this day, I still don't know what I saw, but I've never stayed there again.
There's two times that come to my mind of things happening I can't explain. The first was when I was a teen. I sat in the living room with my family. We were discussing school and work, and we all heard what sounded like someone in boots walk up the stairs. At the time, we didn't pay it no mind because one of my close friends who wore boots everywhere, we just assumed it was him. So I went up to check and there was no one there. The second time was a few years later, and we now had a dog and were in a new house. The dog was very docile and calm. He didn't react much to anything. My parents were away, and it was just me and the dog, and I heard heavy footsteps again, like someone was wearing boots. The dog reacted to the sound also and stood up to look. And as I was about to look, I see one of the cupboard doors slowly open, and the dog went berserk at whoever was in the house, snarling hairs standing up and all. He was not happy that whatever it was.
When I was 15, I was on my parents' house listening and downloading music till 3-4 in the morning, as usual, when I heard dogs barking at the distance. At first, I wasn't paying too much attention till I started hearing the neighbors' dogs go crazy as well. I thought it was a cat or something they were barking at, but the dogs sounded like they were very abnormally disturbed for some reason. I got up of bed and took a look through my window to see the cat that was doing the disturbance, but I realized it wasn't a cat at all. At 10 FT from where I was standing in my window, in front of me there was this woman with long hair and a white dress, floating in the air. I always thought she looked a lot like the Ring girl. I literally froze in place, BC. I couldn't process what I was looking at. And suddenly when I heard my dogs bark, that's when I reacted and closed the curtains and went to my bed as fast as I could. I continued to hear the dogs barking at the distance for another 10 minutes till they fade away, almost like the entity was moving through the area. Till this day, I don't know what I saw and no one believes me at all. But whenever I hear a strange sound in the outside, I don't go near to the windows anymore.
It was summer, and one of our cousins called the house phone asking if he could come over and stay the night. We asked our mom if it was okay, and she said yes, so we told him he could come. Normally his dad would bring him, but this time he was going to take the DART bus. We told him to call us when he got to the bus stop so my brother and I could walk to meet him, and then we'd all walk back to our house together. Eventually he called and said he had made it to the stop. We were excited to have him over, so we put on our shoes and left to go meet him. When you leave our street, there's nothing but the main road. It stretches out for a few miles until you reach a Fiesta grocery store and some surrounding strip malls where the bus stop is. Walking there takes about 30 minutes. On the left side of the road is a cemetery I always thought was creepy. Around the halfway mark of the walk, there was this one tree that stood out. It never grew leaves the entire time I lived there, and it had a terrible smell. I used to hold my breath every time I walked past it. On the right side of the road were a few small buildings, but I don't remember ever seeing anyone go to or leave those places. The whole walk had an eerie feeling to it, even in the daytime and especially at night. This time it was daytime and we had just left to go meet our cousin. We were walking down the main road talking like normal. About 15 minutes into the walk, we noticed our cousin in the distance. He was jumping up and down, yelling and waving to get our attention. We got excited and started jogging toward him, and he started jogging toward us too. He was near that creepy tree when we saw him, but right as we were getting closer, he suddenly cut left and ran into the field next to the cemetery. We were confused for a second, but since he was always kind of goofy and playful, we figured he was just messing around and trying to scare us. He ran behind the trees so we couldn't see him anymore. but we thought he was going to jump out or do something dumb. When we got to where he was, there was nothing. He was gone. We looked around and even went into the field a little bit, calling out to him for a good 15 minutes. No response. We thought about going deeper into the trees to look for him, but even he wouldn't have gone that far. Eventually, we gave up and started walking back home, still looking over our shoulders thinking he was trying to sneak up on us. But nothing ever happened. When we got home, we called him. We asked where he went and told him we saw him run into the field. He had no idea what we were talking about. He said he never left his house. Apparently his dad changed his mind about letting him come, so he didn't even get on the bus. We told him exactly what happened and he denied all of it. We insisted we both saw him and he kept insisting he stayed home the whole time. To this day, my brother and I still remember everything the same way I explain it. We both saw him. We both saw him run into the trees and we both know he wasn't a random person. It was him. We still don't understand what happened, but we never settled for the dream theory.
My ex was a practical joker. About a year after they died, I came home from work and turned on the vanity light in the bathroom to get ready for bed. Midway through brushing my teeth, the light multiple bulbs shut off. Flipped the switch several times. Nothing. Turned on the overhead. It worked fine. I thought I had nicked a wire drilling holes for a shelf the day before. So I went to the basement to turn off the breaker so I could deal with it after I got some sleep. When I opened the panel, it was already off. Flipped the breaker a couple times, went back up and tried the light again. Nothing. Went back to the basement. Turned off the breaker. Go back upstairs, made sure the lights in the bathroom were dead. Walked into the bedroom and realized that breaker killed all the lights and outlets in my bedroom as well. Muttering a string of obscenities, I went back to the basement. The breaker was already on when I opened the panel again. By this point I was so exhausted and pissed off, I just said screw it, the house can catch fire. I need sleep. I flipped the breaker off and on, then went back up. I reset my alarm clock. Crawled into bed. Literally the moment I pulled the duvet up over me, I see a light come on in the hallway. I get back out of bed, and that damn vanity light was lit up and working fine. Later that afternoon, as I drove to work, I heard a song start playing. I thought it was odd because I had never heard that song on the radio ever. The first time I heard it was when I was somewhere with the ex. I bought the CD and it had gotten stuck in my car stereo months before they died. It wouldn't play or eject, and I didn't care enough to spend the money to get the stereo fixed. After they died, I either listened to the radio or drove in silence. I looked over, and instead of the radio station I always listened to, I saw CD track 02 on the screen. I let the song play through and it just stopped after that song. I tried to eject the CD. It wouldn't eject or play again. I eventually sold the car with that CD still stuck in it.
Every now and again I sleep on my couch, downstairs, since my bedroom, upstairs, doesn't get much circulation from the AC. A little side note, we, my brother and I, moved in almost 4 years ago, and I've always mentioned a weird feeling, weird sounds, etc., but nothing concrete. Our living room has a huge window that looks out onto our back patio that my cat likes to sleep next to. Well, at 3:15 a.m. I heard a tap on that window. Not like something in the wind or a branch. Specifically, a finger tap. One tap, my ears perk. 15 seconds later, 2 taps. I sit up completely to actually lock in and focus to make sure I was hearing that properly. Then another 1 tap. I stand up. My cat is fluffed up, all freaked out, hissing at the window. I turn the patio lights on. Look through the window. There's no one. Another 2 taps was enough for me. I ran upstairs to my bedroom, locked myself in, and assumed it wasn't paranormal but maybe human trying to get in. It sounded like a single finger tapping, so very human, but no one was there. I told my brother about it the next morning, and he said to tell him if it ever happened again. It hasn't so far, but this is relatively recent, so we'll see. So maybe not paranormal, but alongside the other things I hear in this house, it just might be. My cat will also come upstairs and hiss, get fluffed at nothing. In the hallways, in my brother's room, but mostly in my room. It freaks me out so much that it's also another factor as to why I sleep on the couch. It doesn't sound that freaky, but it freaked me out enough that I've been staying at my boyfriend's house almost every single night since. My brother swears he's never had anything creepy happen to him, but my cat and I can't say the same.